Anyway, let's move on. We have the CIP. Now what that is supposed to be some euphemism for something good. Citizenship by Investment Program. It sounds very bland, it sounds very neutral, but you know what that is? That is a euphemism for slavery. And what I mean by slavery, you may say, oh, Mr. Bird over here, they say you're radical, they say you're crazy, they say you're too wild, they say you like to go in the ship cell and cool out and sleep overnight. You like to go in the dog cell for no other reason that you like to smell the ship. No! Because what that CIP stands for is modern day slavery. Yes. And let me explain it to you. We do not have a problem in true labor with permanent residents. You see the Syrians over there, they're kicking up a storm. That is all biblical. That's in the Bible. They're always fighting one another and killing up one another. That is what they like to do. That is their history. They're always getting emotional and they're always whacking one another. You read the Bible, you see what I'm talking about. I don't mind if they say, okay, all right, let's start up again. All right, just going to cool our heels. The good ones are, we bring you all in for a while, you all pay some money. And when this situation cool down, you go back to where you come from. I'm open to that. But when you say, pay me $250,000 US and you get citizenship, yes, that is something else. Why? Because citizenship allows you to get it on Monday. If you pay $250,000, citizenship on Monday, and Tuesday you can be in a polling center, register to vote in Antigua and Barbuda. When you don't even know how to get to New Winthorpes from Barnsley. Because you're not here in a week. You're not even going to know how to get from Casada Gardens to Clare Hall, or from Johnson's to Sutherland's, because you don't know the country. You don't know our history, you don't know our culture. But for some reason, you are allowed to vote in my election.
You come one imagine.
Where is the common sense in that from our leaders? More so, and even stronger, a passion it raises in me, is that if you have an Antigua and Barbuda passport, you will be able to buy land in Antigua and Barbuda. You don't have to go to cabinet any longer, you know. You don't have to be held up by cabinet reviewing what lands you want to buy, how large, how much money, beachfront property, too close to this area, too close to that area. You have citizenship, and anybody who can buy a passport for $250,000 US in the future, let me warn you, the largest landowners in this country will be people who probably have only spent a week in Antigua and Barbuda out of every year. And that is a danger, because if you look at the expensive parts of this land, the beachfront properties, the nice hillfront lands, that is the land that they have earmarked. This government has earmarked this land for the CIP candidates. It's not Grace Farm they're looking to buy, you know. It's not Otters, it's not Kentish Road, it's not Barnsley they want for now. They want the beachfront property. In the Middle East, there's a place known as the Gaza Strip. And it is hemmed in by the sea on one side, and on the other side it's hemmed in by the state of Israel. And it's one of the most populated areas in the world, because they have been hemmed in on all sides. And that is where I see this country going. The poor, black, picky-headed people in the middle, and on the outskirts will be lined with billion-dollar properties. And we will be gradually hemmed in into smaller and smaller areas. Because at some point in time, our government began to sell our citizenship to people who had an unlimited access to money to buy large swathes of land that my grandfather bought for poor black people in the late 1960s. 2 generations ago, We own all this land, and the way it is going now, we will own whatever these quote-unquote citizens see fit for us to own. I oppose the CIP, the selling of Antigua and Barbuda passport, completely. It is something that we fought for, the 39ers, the 76ers, for the Antigua and Barbuda people to own their piece of this rock. And what happened? We don't want beachfront properties because our skin is black. We can't live on a nice hill and look down and lord it down on the people below. What is the reason with black people? What is the problem with black people living well? It is our country. And more than any other country in the Caribbean, the Antiguan and Barbuda people were not given this land. We bought this land. £6 million sterling from a Canadian bank to pay for the syndicate lands. Over 80% of the land was bought and paid for by your forefathers. It was not the Queen of England that said, I am giving you independence on the 1st of November 1981. Here, take this bit of land and go about your binges. Thank you for the free work you did. You bought this land more than any other Caribbean country. We are the owners of this property. And I advise you to defend it, not only for yourself, but for the future generations of this country. Let me tell you the way I see the leaders of the Antigua Labour Party, or New Labour, or Gaston Brown's party, where they are going. And the UPP also. You remember back under an ALP administration that members of parliament were given the option to buy lands for pepper grain prices. Do you all remember that? Yes. Two of the persons who cashed in on that deal were Baldwin Spencer and Gaston Brown. But let me tell you what is so unethical about that whole plan. Because the cabinet of Antigua and Barbuda, government is the trustee of that land for us. Now, if you are my trustee and you're looking about my benefit, how come you are getting land cheaper than I am getting it? How can you be the trustee of my land and you are getting a better deal than I am? That is the unethical principle that Baldwin Spencer and Gaston Brown cashed in on. Right? And that is why I am saying to you, if they could cash in on a policy like that, why don't you think that they will not cash in on a policy where somebody can buy a passport on Monday and on Tuesday buy 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 acres of land? Because they don't have any love for you. They don't have any love for you. What I hear the plan is that they will be setting up the agents, the real estate agent business, the law firms, for them to cash in on this land sale, this land grab. And as you saw in the Westerns, when the Europeans went to North America, the United States of America, there were 75 million Indians in the United States of America when the Pilgrims went to America. And because of the land grab, the native people, the native Indians in America were put on reservations and they were hemmed in on all sides, and the Europeans took their land. You see it in the movies, but the reality is hitting us here in Antigua and Barbuda. Some of us would like to think that, oh, no way, oh, government would never do that to us. Baldwin can't do that. He just into the blue wave or the tsunami or whatever nonsense it is that he fooled Antigua with in 2009. But that tsunami started on George Hill. And that was the smallest wave. The big wave is now. This year, leading into next year. Because what you see him saying is that a tsunami is going to knock this place down. And I don't know about you, but from what little I know of tsunamis when I watch them CNN and National Geographic, tsunami, okay, if you are wearing red or blue or gray or white or pink or black, a tsunami wash down, mash up, destroy everything in its path. So when the United Progressive Party come to you and say, we're riding the big blue wave to prosperity, the tsunami get hit now, it is not only going to knock ALP and True Labour, a tsunami will wipe all of us out. Watch yourselves. Because the time to account, the time for Antigua and Barbuda people to take this political situation serious is now. For the last 2 to 3 elections in Antigua and Barbuda, we have allowed people to tell us the big blue tsunami is coming. The big blue wave is drowning them. However, when they're saying the big blue wave is coming to Antigua and Barbuda and the destruction that they have leveled on this community, St. George, you notice what they're saying now? On their shirt says UPP. I'm blue. They can't even say anything. They can't function anything. They can say UPP. I am blue. You're supposed to say on their shirt, no, UPP. I am corrupt. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you why I am no longer a member of the Antigua Labour Party.
Me too.
Let me tell you why. Because I am a lawyer by profession. I am a lawyer by profession. And in 2009 election, I am of the opinion that the United Progressive Party rigged that election in their favor. And what these politicians in the Antigua Labour Party said they were going to do about it is that they were going to file an election petition to explain to the courts all the wrongs and manner of evil that was done to the in the election to affect it. But what happened? We carried the matter to court, and on the 31st of March, we won the first decision in our favor. We handed in 65 witness statements to the court. Of the 65 witness statements, I drafted 30 of those witness statements by myself. The other 35 were written by Samantha Marshall, Ricka Bird, Gail Christian drafted some of our own, and Dean Jonas did a fair amount of the work and all in Potters for his community. And they told us in those witness statements all the manner of evil, the late start, the photo list, the horrors on that election day, which I believe them with all my heart. It was a rigged election. But move forward from 2009 to 2012, when that madman Gaston Brown, Gaston Clown, wanted to become the leader of the Antigua Labour Party. I was at the Rural North branch when they held an election to elect delegates. And the party which I supported, which claimed that the UPP did all manners of wrong on election day, the 12th of March 2009, they did the same exact thing. I saw at the branch on the 9th of October 2012 for the election, they never even had a roll call. People were in there voting that were not even members of the party, much less members of the branch. And Mary Claire Hurst, after taking the tally of the vote, said that she wasn't going to release the results until the next day. She was going home because she had another election. Now what kind of democracy is that? Where one person has the tally, but she's going to go home to another branch election and release that result the next day. Because my skin is black doesn't mean I am a fool. It works that way even when you're dealing with black people. Not only the Chinese. When Lou Hadman came to Antigua at press conference, he said, the generators are new. Because my skin is black doesn't mean that I am a fool. The ALP say that the UPP rigged the election in 2009, they rigged the convention before my very eyes. And worse than that, they expect me to keep quiet about it. Because we must win the next election. It's not going to work like that. Let us clean up the act from now, before we get into office and make a mess of it.
Yes.
You understand? That is my position. Because some in the Antigua Labour Party actually feel that when they get behind Gaston Clown to win the election, then they can remove him as the Prime Minister.
Impossible.
But these jokers do not understand the Westminster form of government. It is one of the most stable form of governments in the world. It is not like Italy and it is not like Greece where they change their governments every six months every year. The Westminster type of government is based on stability. And based on stability, even our own constitution states that the leader of the party is the one that will be Prime Minister if he has the majority of votes to form a government. So why am I going to leave a party because I felt that they breached the Constitution to go and pursue a tactic of removing him after he's rightfully the person who will form the next government? I can't do wrong here when there was wrong done there. It is wrong. Based on what we agreed to in 2005 down at the Multipurpose Center, the Constitution, the revised Constitution of the Antigua Labour Party. The Constitution says that it's the leader of the party who will be the Prime Minister. And I am one for following the Constitution. So I am not going down with them talking about, oh, when they win the election, then they're going to move Gaston Clown. It is unconstitutional. So do not go that path. If I left the party because I saw unconstitutional actions being taken, I am not now going to support Gaston Clown to be the leader and then try to take him out. Because the Constitution does not allow for that. What we have to do, Antiguan and Barbuda people, is to question anyone in authority.
Yes.
Because I felt that if UPP members had questioned their government or the government that they supported from since 2004, we would not have a car park on St. John's Field. We don't even have a car park. We have some wall. I don't even know what to call it. So we have a wall, some walls and some cement on the cricket field. If the UPP supporters had supported or questioned the UPP government, we would not have that thing for a transportation board, which is supposed to be up for the last 6 years and can't get anywhere. If the UPP supporters in St. George, in New Winthorpes, in Barnes Hill, had questioned Jackie Quinn-Leandro on why are you destroying a medical center to put a computer center that was looking about the care of the community, we would not have an old rusty wheel in the middle of the floor in George Hill. But you know what? Nobody chose to do it. We all feel, or most of us, that when you vote for somebody, that is only an exercise every 5 years. And that is the mistake that I see in our society. Yeah. When you take the time and you hear what their policies are and you vote for them, and when they start to stray from these policies that they promise you that they will implement, you question them. You don't sit back and say, boy, 5 years ago I'm going to vote for you again, I'm not going to vote for you. You question authority. You question people in power, and you question people who want to be in that position. Always question authority. When they tell you that they're going to build a car park on the last green space in St. John's, and we are a tourist destination that's supposed to have a tourism product, and in the middle of the city you have a white elephant, something that has cost $140 million, and
the finish up to now.
If you go to the back of that building, the last time they worked on that building was in 2009 February.
Yes.
And you know what they did? They had what they called a soft opening. Meaning the building is finished, but they're going to open it anyway. They had speakers, they had seats, they had a ceremony on a car park that was not finished. And what they did, to show you what type of people these are, they painted the front of the building on Commercial Avenue East Street.
Yellow.
And at the back, they didn't even finish painting it, because they probably didn't have the money to finish off the whole thing. If you look at the back, the East Bus Station at that car park, it's still unpainted. But they were attempting to paint stuff to give the impression that the UPP were going to finish a car park. That is almost 5 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, true comrades, we have about 5 months to go before a general election in Antigua and Barbuda. We have seen what UPP have done to this country in the last 9.5 years. And we have seen what the ALP said they can do. But I am not convinced on the leadership of Gaston Clown. Because Gaston Clown, for the most part, is power hungry.
Yes.
He is power hungry because for some reason he feels that he's entitled to be the leader of this country. And worse than that, well, I don't mind anybody feeling they're entitled, to tell you the truth. But that entitlement has to be based on merit. You have to work hard for it. It's not just given to you because you have a childhood ambition to be the next leader of Antigua and Barbuda. That Wadadli power plant scandal broke in November of 2011. And Mr. Brown, the clown Gaston Brown, was the chairman of the Antigua Labour Party. And when that scandal broke, do you know how many public meetings, pickets and marches Gaston Clown had organized against the Wadadli power plant? Do you know how many? None. The clown was of the opinion that it wasn't an issue of old or new. The issue was whether we got value for money. Okay, let's not talk about old or new. Let us talk about value for money. So we didn't get value for money. And what did you do about it, Gaston Clown? What did you do? What did you do for the benefit of your country and your fellow man?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. What he did do was that when St. Clair Simon, Malvin Joseph, Jim Galloway, and to some extent Max Strasberg, he fall into line right now. He must have looked for his supper. When they were out and conducted 40-something meetings last year to inform the community in the villages of what was taking place up at the Wadadli power plant, Gaston Brown spoke at not one of those meetings. What he did do was when people were going out there in the dew at night to assist their fellow man and inform them of what was actually taking place, he was with his bag of traitors. His bag of traitors at, what you got Ebenezer, what you got Saltmart, and they were planning to take over the leadership or to hijack that party by unconstitutional means. Now let me tell you, I have been offered to run on a Labour Party ticket before. Gaston Brown has asked me to run on the Labour Party ticket before. So all this stuff about me being crazy, I hear they say I even hit my father now, and all kind of nonsense. He has asked me to go back to him and ask if when they were picketing on Newgate Street in about 2008, he and Lesterbrook asked me to run in the ticket, and I declined because I have no interest in running as a politician. I would give my assistance to them, but I never had any interest. But I lived abroad in America since I was 11 years old, and I returned in 2002. I don't have an American passport. I studied law in England for 6 years. I don't have an English or UK passport. I have an Antigua and Barbuda passport. That is why it affects me, because I do not intend to live anywhere else.
Home sweet home.
My last breath and my last heartbeat will be in Antigua. And that is why I am out here tonight. Yes. Because if they are not doing the job, I put them aside. Get rid of the middleman. Yes. Let us do the job ourselves. That is what true labor is about. Yes. If they are not looking about the people's business, and I am one of those people, then what am I supposed to do? Run back to America where I don't want to live? Go eat beef burgers and neon lights and live amongst nuclear bombs and have an American accent like Tico Lake? I don't think so. It's not going to work. Can't see where I come from. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what is the problem with people like Gaston Clown and Comrade Penguin. When this scandal broke about the Wadadli power plant, everybody realized that, hey, wait, I am paying usually $200 for my electricity bill a month. It got up to $4. And the month after that, it got up to $5. And 2 months later, it got up to $6. And we all feel that effect, that something is not right. Because we do not burn the electricity. We even try to cut down. We turn off our lights earlier than usual. We try to read or to do our activities in the day by sunlight. But the bill is still not going down. We are feeling it. The poor man always feels it the most. But what happens when you have a person like Gaston Clown and Comrade Penguin, who are members of parliament and do not have to pay utility bills? They can intellectualize that, okay, the people are saying that the electricity bills are higher. But they do not feel it in their pocket, so they have no use. They have no use to go and fight for the people. Because they have not paid, Gaston Clown has not paid a utility bill since he entered into parliament in 1999. So how can he be fighting for you? He doesn't feel it. The Wadadli power plant never affected that man.
Yes.
The only time the Wadadli power plant affected Gaston Clown and Comrade Penguin was when they said on the 19th of December, just last month, they had their meeting down at North Street, and 6 months before a general election in Antigua and Barbuda, they choose now to say, hold the generator, hold the generator, hold. It is a political gimmick.
Yes.
Yes.
It is a political gimmick, and it is win at any cost. And if that means that I have got to say the generators are now old, I will say it. Why did he say it a month earlier when he was in Beijing, China? And is Max Ross around? Because I still want to know from Max Ross how 3 people go on a honeymoon. That was the first time in the world that ever happened. The set precedent. How you go on a honeymoon and you bring along another man? What kind of nonsense is that? You tell Max, okay, you just cool your chest. Just go on fire and skill. Let me and my wife go to Beijing. How can a man go on a honeymoon and carry another man? What kind of sickness is that? That needs to be questioned. And when they say Gaston crazy, it's them sort of nonsense you have to look into. He go on a honeymoon to Beijing, China, and he bring another man with him. Because that whole political gimmick of going to China want no benefit to Antigua whatsoever. Max Ross was one of the ones who was championing the cause against the Wadadli power plant. He went to China. They go into the gold room. I think that's what they reported. They have this room in China where it's all gold and they can numb up all the Chinese food. And oh, that Chinese food tastes good. Then lick up all the Chinese food. Right? And they forget to ask the man, is the generation new? They never asked. For some reason, they're in the belly of the beast, travel 20,000 miles to China, lick up all the Chinese food, all the Chinese food tastes so good. And at one point in time did Max Ross of Gaston Clown say, you came to Antigua in February 6th at the press conference. Could you please provide us with the evidence that this generator is new?
Thank you.
Is that all? Is that simple? It is that simple. We're not asking you to perform brain surgery. When you go to China on your honeymoon and you bring along Maxwell's on your honeymoon, go to the golden room, nyam up that food. Okay, what I'll say, right? Maybe he's even Gus and Clone is hungry. So when you go into the golden room, nyam up the food first and then ask the question. Do not ask the question first, piss off your host, and then give you Chinese food. So what I say, it is not too much to ask for Gaston Cloud to go nyam up all the Chinese food and then tell them, is the generator new? It was never done. It was never done, and I'm disappointed in Max Hurst too. Because he was championing the cause last year. He was leading the fight.
And turn quiet now.
All of a sudden, mouth full of cheese. He says that we have an election to win. And nothing means anything. He is the man that co-authored the constitution of the Antigua Labour Party. And in this constitution, it provides that there must be a roll call to know who is voting in the primaries to be a delegate. He was with us in the branch in Cedar Grove where all kind of breaches of the constitutions happened. But Comrade Harrison, absolutely nothing wrong. It was all fine. You know what I call Max Hurst? You know what my name for Max Hurst? The most dangerous man on this planet. The most dangerous man on this planet. Because if you can just switch on a dime from fighting against the Wadadi power plant and fighting against the wrongs in the society based on the fact we have an election to win at any cost, I do not want to be associated, my name to be associated with that. You have to have some sort of principle, and that principle that we were accustomed to in the Antigua Labour Party was one thing. It was called comradeship. We were all comrades, and there was certain manner and behavior that we will all approach and greet each other. That has died in the Antigua Labour Party. What is replaced to when you govern a party by a constitution? It is now governed by the laws of the jungle. Meaning, whatever it takes to win, then that the ends justify the means. And if that is what they base their party on, then my ancestors left the jungle over 400 years ago. And I'm not going back there. The laws of the jungle say the fittest must survive. And it is completely in abhorrence to what the Antigua Labour Party stands for. It is a socialist organization that was supposed to look out for the weak in our society. We live on a 108 square mile island with all manners of natural disasters. We have hurricanes, we have earthquakes. And at some point in time, Antiguans and Barbudans are related through blood or through marriage. Yes. Because of our small population. And if it is the law of the jungle that is going to govern us, then we've seen that take effect in the last 9.5 years under the UPP. And we cannot afford for that to continue. We cannot afford for that to continue because this is a small island nation. We suffer from hurricanes, earthquakes, and we have to be our brother's keeper. And if that cannot be the basis for governing a country, and even more so, a political party, then I want nothing of it. When you clean up your act, give me a call, 775-7201. And until then, True Labour Party will be fighting for the Antigua and Barbuda people, yes, like the 39ers under the ATNLU, like the 76ers, like the founding fathers of Antigua and Barbuda on the 1st November 1981.
You're not alone. Labour, I'll be right there for you. You're not alone. So Labour, I'll be right there for you.